Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here, basically, we are discussing another topic that is city creation. City creation, basically, we are discussing another topic that is India account creation. So, how basically India account creation, everything basically that we are in this, basically, we are discussing another topic that is connected with accounts, SBI banks, and the third number topic that is after 2 days, the earthquake is going to come in, big earthquake is going to come in India. That topic actually we are discussing. In really, basically, the earthquake is not going to come. Just taking as an example, basically. Because I am in India, so I am taking the example of India. I am in India, so that's why I am taking the example of India. If I would be in Singapore, then basically I would be taking the example of Singapore. So just see basically how the videos is going to ongoing. So one of the person told the Amazon, basically we saw that basically how Amazon basically got created, how Amazon launched his AWS, and from that basically is giving the lots of services like functions, ready-made payment gateways, ready-made functions, ready-made procedures, ready-made tools, ready-made templates, ready-made images, ready-made. Sometimes basically he gives entire software only basically like CRM product basically he just gives CRM service basically you can say CRM as a service basically, and that contains projects basically. So like this, many things basically Amazon gives basically. He basically takes some charge. He gives certain level of amount to the another consultant or basically whoever basically, and mostly basically he might not be taking purchasing the product. Why? Because after purchasing basically, how who is going to manage that basically? If he will be purchasing, then he have to create the software company basically. That will be very costly basically. It will create basically very huge basically setup basically. You have to create the setup basically. If you are creating one Oracle PLSQL company basically, for example, you have to hire 100 Oracle PLSQL project managers, team leaders. Then basically you have to spend basically more than 100 200 crore basically, minimum amount basically, because infrastructure, the servers basically in Oracle, Oracle always works in Unix. So this all basically are expenses basically. So instead of that basically he will give certain level of rents basically to the consultancy. That's why basically it given as a name as Amazon Web Services basically. He give the services basically. And mostly basically if he's thinking something big basically, then he might be having some small software companies, and he might have recruited few dummy owners, and he might have signed some contract basically with them that you are basically a dummy owner basically, and real owner basically I am. So do my whatever services basically we have purchased, that is the Amazon company has purchased, that maintenance basically that company is going to do. This is the other another alternative basically, so that basically there would not be any type of dependency basically. Because if consultancy is there basically, then basically he have to keep giving business up to what level business he will give basically. That is also question basically, because he will say that basically yeah basically I'm giving business, then also basically. So mostly if another basically side is going, then basically he have to give the business. That is basically the another thing basically. If he's not giving business, then basically the developer basically, but he has signed the contract. So mostly basically he have to give the service. But renewing the contract, that will create problem. So instead of that basically taking so much of burden basically, he will create his dummy companies and will say that basically he is the company owner. That's all. So that are also basically one of the techniques of the business basically, doing the business basically. It's a Amazon basically. So we are not going to detail of Amazon basically. So here basically we are discussing what? Banks basically. First topic is SBI Bank. Second topic is Amazon AWS. That basically almost we have discussed. And third topic is earthquake, which is going to come after 2 days. That topic actually we are discussing. So first we will connect with the SBI Bank. SBI Bank basically, one of the person told that who actually created the SBI Bank? Because his mind is like that. He created 500 customers, and that 500 customers are basically the banks. And he himself basically had some customers basically. So assume that 500 customer as a corporate customer, basically we can't say it's a corporate customer because if we add as a corporate customer, because there are customer types also, normal customer, banks, or basically he is a corporate customer, whether he is a businessman, who actually he is. You have to give the type of no, basically of the account basically. So in that basically what he will give basically, that is also SBI basically might have thought lots of. So he basically might be giving as a corporate basically, because SBI brain basically is like that basically. So he will be telling that basically HDFC Bank or basically HSBC Bank, HSBC Bank basically mostly doesn't exist in India. But then also we will take HSBC, because once upon a time basically I have account in HSBC. So HSBC Bank, Citibank is there. So these all banks basically are what actually? They are the customer of SBI Bank basically. SBI Bank have one account basically of Citibank that contain 50 lakh crore rupees. So in SBI Bank, Citibank is one customer basically, and his account entry basically is like that, 50 lakh amount as a credit. 50 lakh amount as a credit basically. And in that SBI, then that Citibank basically, he basically has created 50 lakh crore amount basically. In that basically, there are many customers of Citibank. So that comes to a totally different. Here basically SBI basically is not worry about lots of thing basically. He's just about 50 lakh crore basically. It's credited. That's a one amount basically. That one amount that is 50 lakh crore is basically maintained where basically, that is in Citibank server basically. All manipulation basically are done in Citibank basically. So you can just imagine basically. So that is basically the Citibank basically generates all customers. Customer types are there, customer stories are there, customer do the investment, and according to his designation basically they have to do the investment at certain level of sectors. For example, one customer is basically of software industry, his salary is more than 10 lakh, 12 lakh, so he basically do the some purchase few products basically from Citibank. I'm talking about Citibank customer. He purchased the product. Citibank basically do the investment where basically he will do the investment in text box, combo box, radio button, this all areas basically. And what is this everything? Basically, I have already discussed. Then also, I will say a little bit. Text box equal to 1,000 cities. So to create one text box, basically, it has taken 1,000 cities. So the Citibank basically do this person's investment in that area. Basically. So one of the person do that exactly where they might be doing the investment. That is also one question basically. This is the customer. So that customer basically, how banks decide that basically, this customer basically which he who is investing the money na basically, his money has to invest in combo box, check box, radio button, text box, radio button, or basically button where basically you have to do the investment, because investment might be how much basically 2 lakh 3 lakh basically. So they can't divide the entire money to the different areas basically. So because it will cost na basically, you are doing dividing the money amount, and you are dividing different money amount means different servers basically it's going. Your data is going to different servers, that is going to cost you basically. So they will not do this type of investment. So they will do investment in either text box, combo box, or basically this type of areas basically. Because first they think of costing side basically of the projects. So banks will do what they do basically. They will see basically how much amount is according to the money basically they do the investment basically. And mostly basically one single person investment basically are done in single area only, that is text box, combo box, or whatever. Bank basically don't know that this investment, this for example bank knows that basically the text box is equal to 1,000 cities. So the 1,000 city basically, which bank Citibank is creating and doing the investment in of this particular customer, the bank Citibank knows that basically that this 1,000 cities of this text box. Bank mostly basically might not be knowing, but they know that basically this investment basically is of IT industry. This investment is of software industry, of computer industry. That also you can say. So one of the person told that like this basically they do the investment basically. So you can just imagine the banking investment basically which is ongoing. That is also basically how it's planned basically. It's a huge dangerous plan basically you can say. The big level top level managements basically do very high tech plans basically. But banks are controlled by World Bank basically, and World Banks basically are controlled by some other banks. Basically. So they do all the plans basically. Here basically banks don't have to do the plan basically, but they have to manage nothing basically. They have to do the management. World Bank basically creates the products and they directly give the customers. Basically. But few banks basically are there basically who directly create. But products basically are created by these banks only. Basically. That is the World Bank. And few banks basically, if they say World Banks feel that basically this bank are very dangerous, people basically are doing job here, so they basically can give the authority. Because in World Bank basically people who are working, they are also basically came from basically where basically. They also came from normal banks only basically. So that's why basically few banks are basically allocated for directly doing the products creation also. That also you can say basically. So one of the person told that see the bank bill. One person told that Citibank is very so SBI basically group say that basically by this is Citibank basically you just see of the Citibank account basically what is the account basically so the one person basically checked and he showed the basically if Citibank basically have 50 lakh crore basically amount is 50 lakh crore then basically one of SBI banks are told that basically okay that's fine debit means expense basically of the bank basically. And here expense basically comes that everybody knows that basically. Whatever investment basically the banks do, they have to pay the interest also. So that all are basically into the debit side. So they do the investment, cities creation happens, this that basically lots of things basically happen. So one of the person told that banks do the investment in that area basically, right? Text box equal to 1,000 cities. So banks, what actually bank gets that is also question basically. If they are doing investment in text box equal to 1,000 cities, what is that basically? So one of the person told that here basically what might be the income basically bank might be getting basically. So few people says that basically it's a commission margin basically. Commission margin, 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 commission margin. This keeps on increasing basically. Reason the world has created. That's why basically. So huge level of commission margin gets. If it might be within India basically, but it's not possible no, basically, because whole world basically World Bank is connected with the all banks basically. So you have to go international level, and you have to go up. You have to go with the international level only basically. So one of the person told that like this, the commission margin basically is the main income basically of the Citibank basically. So they told that basically we have invested this many money, and rest of group says that basically we will give you this much amount basically. So this everything basically we have already discussed in long before. That is a banking system basically you can say. How banking system works basically. because bank basically doesn't gets anything basically. They basically don't gets anything. They only gets what basically commission margin basically. For example, banks basically are doing 1 lakh crore investment, so they are getting what basically they are getting what basically they are getting certain level of amounts only basically they are getting. Whole world basically is running like this way only. For example, I purchased this specs basically. So the person who created the specs basically, he also might have purchased some lots of items basically to create the specs. So he is getting what basically commission margin basically. This speaker basically when he created the speaker, that time basically the entire costing basically this basically comes into the costing basically. How the cost basically are decided. So banks basically directly connected with the costing department basically you can say. So entire banks are and chartered accountant groups are basically directly connected with the costing departments basically. That is the ICWA basically or chartered accountant group basically you can say. That basically we have already discussed. That topic basically we have already discussed. So whole world basically is connected with what basically? They are connected with the commission margin basically. Commission margin. I purchased this bottle from one of the mall. So they also basically have spent some amount now basically from some company. Company basically don't give anything free basically. They purchase in bulk basically. So in bulk basically they get some big level of margin. But they have to keep that item basically in stock basically. So that cost basically gets increased. Because if you are keeping some stock in the stock area or basically in mall basically, so there basically you have to keep the employees, you have to keep the air conditions, you have to keep the lights, lease that basically each and every cost basically are there. That all things basically are normal things basically. So cost level basically also increase basically. So they basically gets commission basically of the money. So same way the banks also basically works. Banks also basically gets some amount. So nobody gets basically some big amount basically. Everybody gets commission amounts only, and that amount is good level of amount. Basically. So this was related to bank basically. Now related to Amazon basically. Amazon is actually what doing basically. He's telling that basically the world is this. He's exactly doing this only basically. He is exactly doing this only. What he is doing? He is taking the commission margin from the consultant also and from the another side also. Consultant basically means you can say he's paying some amount to that consultant basically. He's paying some amount to the consultant you can say. Then basically the customers basically of Amazon basically who purchase that functions basically or basically the services from that basically he takes the money. That is basically it. So Amazon is telling that world basically this only basically. That is commission margin. So few people says that the world has become so complicated to simplify that complication basically. What is the way basically? So few people says that Amazon is basically into this. So one of the person told that Amazon is mathematician basically. He's a Aryabhat guru basically. One of the few person told that also. Because if you have jumped into this basically, then only this group only that is the Aryabhat group and the rest of groups are basically into that. And Aryabhat basically group never comes in front basically. That also everybody knows. So few people say that Amazon basically has kept by Aryabhat group basically. Few people says basically whether it is not correct or that I don't know. But here basically we are not going up to Aryabhat. We are telling that Amazon is a Aryabhat guru. Sorry, Aryabhat student basically. Because to The big world level complication basically you are simplifying in product basically. That is basically Amazon basically. In that basically the services basically which he is giving, in that basically what are the things basically he is doing actually. Lots of things basically which are basically complicated, that he is actually solving that basically. He is actually solving the problems basically. And to solve that type of costing problem basically, you have to be a perfect in mathematics basically. So Amazon basically is connected this way. Basically, one of the person told that basically SBI basically groups are connected with this way. Because if you are handling the big level of SBI, then you have to be up to very dangerous, like good mathematician basically, good statistic person basically. Otherwise, basically you can't handle the SBI bank basically. Otherwise, basically you can't handle a simple bank also basically. If you are not up to that level. So Amazon basically is handling the bank's data also basically. Bank's complication also. Because there are lots of services which in that basically few customers are basically banks also basically. Banks are also using the Amazon web service basically. But SBI bank basically is not using. That basically is 100% sure. He might be using it, but we can't say basically. Because SBI tracks everything basically. SBI tracks everything basically. So he also basically might be connected with the services basically. Just to tracking that. So if another person wrote that Amazon basically mostly basically might be doing the all the problems basically, solving all the problems basically, which the Amazon basically, which the world basically is currently facing. World might be facing lots of problems, yeah, basically, costing problems basically. They might be facing them basically. They might be 100% facing. For example, one person told that basically to create that building, basically I took this many amounts, basically, but I am very I basically confused that basically how basically it was calculated. This that basically what would be the amount, this that basically how up to what level amount basically I should solve. Commission margin basically it's getting increase basically. Like this basically lots of complication happens basically. So he went to some person basically. He told that basically we can purchase this product of the Amazon. He will guide us basically. So you can just imagine basically for that basically many products basically he have basically. He just have to enter what how many amount basically the building has taken basically. Rest of thing basically he will manage it basically. So that basically comes actually what basically. It's a costing software basically you can say. But according to the current environment of the cost basically, repeating the word, current environment of the costing basically of each and every products items in this world basically, he have the latest data basically. You can just imagine basically to cost basically to give the cost of particular level of any items basically, he should have the latest level of costing items, no, basically rate basically he should know. Each and every rate basically might be knowing what is the commission margin basically each and every people basically are taking in the building sector, how many money basically you have to give to how many peoples. That each and every data basically he might be having, otherwise basically how he might be costing. So he basically solving all the problems basically. So for that basically he might be having many softwares basically, many software. For example, smart city has created in Ahmedabad. So the calculation of Ahmedabad buildings basically will be according to the smart city basically. In Vadodara city is not a smart city. So for that basically the calculation is totally different basically. In Mumbai city, Mumbai is a metropolitan city. Their costing basically is totally different. There basically the commission margin is totally different basically. So their costing basically is totally different. You can just imagine basically. So one of the person told that this was actually idea. So one of the person told that this was idea actually. So one of the person told this was Amazon basically, and that basically he is doing perfectly. Otherwise, basically, how he is earning lots of money basically? If he is not solving the problem, then how basically his customers basically are increasing, increasing, increasing. Why? Because he is solving the problem basically. Same way here basically I will add in Amazon basically I will add one more topic, that is e-clerks. E-clerks basically say that basically sometime here basically Sunil, my share basically gets down basically, and I basically contacted to the share industry basically, that is the experts basically. They basically are telling that basically this fluctuation happened, that fluctuation happened, that sector basically got down, that sector basically got down, that industry basically had some problem, that industry basically had some problem. That only basically they say. They basically don't directly give the information basically. Just now basically you told that basically if e-clerk software basically I am, for example, e-clerx told that basically I have created 1 lakh software, from 1 lakh basically few software basically were used for human need creation, and that human needs basically was used by few people, and few due to that basically few people basically got ill, and other side is few people basically got good health basically. So when health basically comes, share market basically of e-clerx basically got increased, ill basically happened, that is the disease. So that basically the share market of Amazon eClearX basically got down basically. So that data basically eClearX is telling that basically that data I am not getting here basically. So is there any way basically to get that data basically? So for that basically he basically connected to Amazon basically, because Amazon is Amazon basically. So that topic basically we are going to discuss later. So what is Amazon and eClearX group basically going to discuss? Because problem is going to solve basically. Amazon basically says that basically I am here to solve the problem basically of each and every India costing basically. I am the student of Aryabhat basically, but I am directly not taking Aryabhat. I am if he's telling that basically I am basically good mathematician. Basically. I am a good mathematician basically. That basically is Amazon is selling. That's why basically he is there. He's earning. He's basically top 10 richest person basically. So one of the person told that you can just imagine the Amazon power basically. So costing problems, whatever problems basically cost related is happening, that is solved by the Amazon basically. So one of the person told that Amazon is Amazon basically. So one of the person told that we actually never thought that basically Amazon is basically doing up to this level stuff basically. So you can just imagine basically SBI group basically uses the resources. So one person told that if SBI basically is using Amazon like this, then basically how he might be using the banks basically. How he might be using the banks like HSBC Bank, HDFC Bank, Citibank, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, corporate banks. So how he might be using these people basically. Because SBI is SBI. If he is using Amazon like this basically, then you can just imagine. He basically just need to solve the problem basically in whatever manner basically. So how basically he might be doing the, because he has given everything to what whom basically, because nowadays the world is what basically digital world na basically, it's a digital world basically, but to digital world basically he can't give any he basically can't give the entire control to the digital group basically. And he basically never gives the control to the digital world also. That is also one of the question basically. That is also one of the question. So one of the person told that it's a digital world that basically everybody knows. Banks give the controls to the banks. SBI basically is taking so tough task from the Amazon. Amazon is basically telling them basically, yes, basically we are doing it. So he's connected with everything basically. Amazon group basically are connected with everything. Each and every mathematics problem basically you can say. Each and every ideas basically that also you can say. If one person basically is telling that basically, yeah, basically I want to do this basically, but I'm not getting the proper management plan basically. So there are many softwares. Many people says that it's Chat GPT is there basically. It's a AI tool basically. So there are many tools basically. So Chat GPT is what actually? That is set of functions, no basically. Set of functions basically are there. Whatever things basically you need, that is basically one you can say is a search engine also, that also you can say. But in search engine basically of Google basically, you can't get everything basically. But in Chat GPT basically you gets everything. Previously in Google also basically was telling basically I was giving everything basically. But then basically he got some issue. So he started stopping everything basically, giving everything. So it's Chat GPT now. Previously Google also basically was giving everything basically. Whatever you want basically from Google he was literally giving. Slowly he clears everything. But Google basically is an experienced group basically. And this is a chat GPT AI tool basically. So Amazon, AWS, that we have already discussed. And the third topic, that is the after 2 days basically the earthquake is going to come. The topic is what basically? After 2 days basically the earthquake is going to come. So that is basically one of the satellite person told them, he told that basically the earthquake basically which is going to come basically, that basically when the 50s 55 city sorry 55 country basically which was created basically, that time only basically it was decided. So that is also basically one of the services basically which Amazon basically might have created. He basically might have the Amazon basically is connected with the France group basically. Amazon is connected with the France group now basically. And France basically group says that basically we have the exact data of whatever you are telling Sunil. So what actually I'm telling? See basically. 555 city basically, sorry, 55 country basically is doing the process. 55 country basically done the process. Certain level of energy basically they generated. In that basically some magnitude of earthquake also basically got generated. They told that basically we have to place this earthquake magnitude basically somewhere in any of the country of the 50 country within the 15 5 country basically, within 55 country basically we have to place this earthquake in one country basically. So they basically have the parameters based where they have to place. After that basically they place that earthquake data into certain level of countries. The stop earthquake data also comes, and it stops the data basically. So this is actually what basically this is process na basically. Magnitude is going to come, magnitude stops this each and everything basically. So you can just imagine basically. Within 2 days basically earthquake is going to come. That is basically nothing topic basically. Here the topic see basically 55 city basically, sorry, 55 country has created, magnitude has generated. Magnitude has generated. Stop magnitude came and stopped also. But sometimes basically it doesn't stop. Here I have just taken as an example basically. After 2 days basically in India, big level of earthquake is going to come. And how basically the news channel basically displays everything basically. Yeah? They basically know everything basically. But they don't know that basically why they are displaying this everything no, basically. They basically know that basically these all are basically the problems and these all are the unstable data. But why they are displaying this everything basically, that way they basically can't connect to the certain level of earthquakes basically. For example, certain level of earthquake of magnitude basically is going to come in India. So that magnitude basically earthquake is going to come in India. For that basically purpose basically, this all basically news channel basically are displaying all the things basically. So news channel basically are doing very dangerous tasks basically. I'm telling you, they are doing the most dangerous task. That's why basically they are getting the money also. They are getting more than 20 crore, 30 crore per month basically. Because that task also see basically. They can stop the earthquakes basically by stop means certain level of earthquake. Entire earthquake basically you can't stop because the process is happening since many time basically. But they can save at least basically something. So like this basically they are getting 20 crore, 50 crore, 55 crore. Few people getting 100 crore basically as a salary basically in news channel basically because their tasks are up to that level basically. They are doing task up to that level basically. So you can't imagine basically up to what dangerous. So they basically are there. Here basically the Bollywood groups are also basically there. They creates movies also. So to stop earthquake basically you get lots of time basically to create movie basically how many time it takes here basically. And after movie creation public also watch. Then reaction lots of things basically happens. So just see basically the earthquake, big earthquake is going to come. For that basically stopping time basically how many stopping time basically they are getting. Bollywood groups basically are displaying serials, then the pictures, movies, theaters basically they are launching the movies also into the theater related to that unstable data. Due to that unstable data which is going to create earthquake after 2 days. Here basically I have taken the 2 day example basically. But see the time basically. They gets the time for movie creation also. In here the movie creation is that's okay. They gets the time of they gets the time of movie creation and people public are also basically watching. So in next 2 day basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic that is SBI banks and other banks, Amazon and after 2 days the big earthquake basically is going to happen in India and that groups basically who are connected with this 2 days earthquakes.